You have found the Jordy Culotta Show right here on YouTube. We go live Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. on the campus of Click Here Digital in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where we serve up premium LSU content. Hard-hitting guests, opinions that you can find Monday through Friday. If you want that, subscribe right here on the link that you see below. Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you.
Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Thank you for the time. Here we go. We got a couple of bites here from Brian Kelly as John Emery's status was brought into question from some question askers yesterday, and here is what's going on with John Emery.
John is in good standing with the program. He's done everything that we've asked him to do. Any other comments would put me in conflict with the Buckley Amendment.
Do you have an exact game that he'll be able to play by?
Yes, game 3.
So John Emery going to be out the first 2 games of the season. I think that's a little bit of a news there. All right, here is some injury updates from Brian Kelly.
Real quick on the John Emery front, there was some sleuthing that this is where Tiger Droppings does its good work. There was some sleuthing going around that the Mason Smith signed autograph card from John Emery had one on the same brand, same date as Mason Smith. So it's kind of the rumor floating around that he also was serving a 2-game suspension for signing cards when he should not have been pre-NIL.
Who is this guy?
Onyx Cards is the brand, but they're authenticated. And on eBay, you can get John Emery's for like $12.
$12.
Mason Smith for $8.
$8.
But, I mean, this is legit Tiger Droppings. He had it on eBay and pulled up, and they look exactly the same. It's John Emery's autograph, and it's Mason Smith's autograph. Same type of card. So, it makes sense. Sleuth.
This guy, Onyx.
Is it?
I mean, he's costing LSU.
It'd be public enemy number 1.
Good Lord,
Gilbo.
LSU beat to eat. All right, here he is, Kelly, providing some injury updates.
Amani Goodwin is out. He's working hard to get back, but he'll be out for this weekend. Josh Williams is probable, and we've upgraded chemo to probable. So both of those guys will travel, and again, they'll be probable. So again, I think that's a good sign from the injury report. We weren't sure. I mean, we felt like Amani was going to be a tough one with the hamstring, and he's working hard, but it's probably going to be another week.
Denver Harris has gotten a lot of attention here through fall camp. Here is Brian Kelly talking about his transfer corner from A&M going into week 1.
Denver is in that process of learning how to do things, a little bit differently than he had been doing it before. So, it's becoming, clear to him what he needs to do on a day-to-day basis to find the field here. And look, he's got a lot of ability, but it's more in this program than just having athletic ability. He's got to do the work in the classroom. He's got to do the work, in terms of the day-to-day details and making good choices, good decisions, and he's making progress there. But it's a journey for him right now.
For Harris, he sounds he's far away, man. He's just not. You got to get it right.
Saga continues.
You got to get it right. All right, here he is talking about preparing for a neutral site game.
No, not really. I mean, I think we have to prepare for, crowd noise situations that, at a neutral site, for example, we were in New Orleans, that neutral site, you tend to think that that's going to favor the home team from Louisiana, where you probably don't spend as much time on crowd noise. We spent more time on crowd noise here for this neutral site game in Orlando, expecting it maybe to be a little bit more of a tilt towards Florida State. So, I think those neutral site games, you kind of, try to figure out, what that split's going to be relative to the fans. And so how it affected this game plan was just simply that, work on crowd noise.
Brian Thomas has been in and out of fall camp here, battling a little bit of injury. Here he is talking about coaches, talking about the status of the third-year wideout out of Walker.
Yeah, I like where he's at. I mean, I like his look, I thought Brian last year, was a bit sloppy at times in terms of, all the things that he needed to do. His attention to detail wasn't great. This year it's so much better. The summer he was outstanding in the classroom. I just see a more mature guy, a guy that is handling his business in a different way. I like where he's at. I really do. I think we're going to see a lot of good things from Brian this year.
It's good news on Brian Thomas, the standout wide receiver going into year 3. Here is Coach Kelly talking about the brand of LSU traveling over to the state of Florida this weekend.
No, the LSU brand is strong. It's more than just football. I think that the success that it has had has broadened its appeal much more than just, an SEC school. It's seen as a national major brand, and that's a powerful thing. It's not a regional brand; it's a national brand. There's a difference. There's some SEC schools that just have regional appeal. LSU has a national appeal, and certainly that attracts student athletes and helps you in recruiting from all over the country. So, no, and look, I'm beginning to see that more and more, and I think it has a lot to do with the successes of the programs, the other programs. There's no doubt, but the fan base is not just passionate, but it's active. Right? It's you can see it in its social media appeal. You can see it how active it is, and I think that has a lot to do with it as well.
Brian Kelly yesterday talking about the national appeal of LSU's brand. Here's Kelly talking about the part of the game that I believe is really going to be the key to it for LSU. If LSU is going to win on Sunday, I think it's going to come down to a couple of things, but none more importantly than can whether or not LSU stand up and guard Florida State on the outside, right? Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, a couple of playmakers for Florida State on the outside. LSU's got a couple of question marks. You heard him talking about Denver Harris. Harris he's a long way away from the field. Still got some things to take care of. So who's going to step up at cornerback and who's going to guard? Here's Kelly talking about that matchup between LSU DBs and Florida State wide receivers.
We're in a similar position that we were last year in a sense that, you had Jarek Bernard Converse, you had, Kobe coming out for the first time, you had Mekhi Garner, had guys that nobody knew of, and you're going to have a similar situation again this year. I just think that these guys have competed really well against top-notch receivers for the last, 6 weeks, and they're ready to go play somebody else. They know they've got a great challenge ahead of them with the wide receivers at Florida State, and they will all year against, SEC competition. And I think the safeties feel the same way. So, this is a corner safety group together that have to communicate well together, have to play together. And I just think that, we're in a better place than we were last year because I think that the communication is so much better and the understanding of what we want to accomplish. And so I think they've really worked well together. So I don't know that there's anything to prove as much as they just want to go out and compete.
Ups, like we mentioned, LSU's DBs on Florida State wide receivers. It'll come down to LSU's offensive line, to how they can control guys like Jared Verse and Florida State's defensive line. What are some of the key matchups that Brian Kelly are looking at when he sees this thing on paper?
Probably what we just talked about, the one-on-one matchups, down the field. The ball's going to get thrown down the field to some elite receivers, and, we're going to have to make our share of plays down the field. Clearly, that's probably number one. Number two will be, tackling their backs. I think that's going to be an important part of this as well. Everybody knows you got to contain the quarterback in some fashion, but he's going to get his plays. I think it's just competing down the field for the football.
All right, that's Brian Kelly yesterday, wrapping up his press availability here in game week. He was on the radio show last night with Chris Blair. We had a cool moment with Blair. Of course, Blair over here every Thursday. Compliments of Carriage's Clothe the Ear, but he was wishing Chris Blair a happy birthday, brought him a birthday cake. Cool social media post going out for LSU Sports and for Blair. So that is game week press obligations for Brian Kelly in the book. Now, next time you see Coach Kelly, it'll be game day, and the Tigers will be preparing for the Seminoles. We'll talk more about that matchup, and you heard Brian Kelly talk about it. Just a similar to what we've highlighted. I've heard a lot of people highlighting when they talk about this LSU-Florida State matchup. What's one matchup that Coach Kelly was curious about? LSU's DBs on Florida State's wide receivers. It's going to play a huge part in the outcome come Sunday. We'll talk more about it when we come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, presented by Click Here Digital, live on the campus of Click Here Digital Studio. Remember, over 20,000 square feet of office space that house 150 employees that are responsible for coming up with full-service digital marketing plans every single day for their clients. And they do it better than anybody. They do it in the automotive space. They do it in the medical space, in the legal space. If you're curious how you can get ads onto social media in front of your client base, they can click on those ads and then turn that click into money, then you need to get in touch with Click Here Digital. You can contact me directly, Jordy@clickheredigital.com. It's a simple email, Jordy@clickheredigital.com, or just log online, clickheredigital.com. Thanks for tuning in to our premium LSU content right here on YouTube. If you want more of it, subscribe below.